I'm Matt Draper from the Hastings Landmark Implement.
I'm Matt Stripe from the Red Cliff Landmark location. Today we're going to talk to you about setup and adjustments on your 700 Flex Draper Series head. The first thing is, as far as getting ready to connect your header to your combine, you want to make sure that this thing is clean, and you wipe it down with a rag, and you only use electronic cleaner, as the brake cleaner will eat this connector up inside, cause it to fail. One thing on the larger 700 Flex Draper heads is it's a two-piece reel, and there's phasing knobs on the reel valve, so your reel can phase in and out so it's straight across. And what you do is you extend it all the way out and all the way back and hold it, and it will rephase your reel. To adjust the cutter bar angle on the cutter bar of your header, on the newer combines they have hydraulic adjust to tip the header back or forward. You want that cutter bar to be running level with the ground, especially if you've changed the tires or the rear axle setting. And the way you do that on an older machine is you have to take two bolts loose and a large bolt at the bottom and manually adjust that back or forward to get your cutter bar level with the ground. The proper speed for your feeder house is always, if you have a 5-speed feeder house, on the lowest position of 1, which should automatically adjust to that as soon as you connect the header. On the older machines with the variable, or the newer ones with the variable, either one, you'll have to run that down to the slowest speed possible. You're going to run about 490 to 520 on the back shaft speed. On your belt adjustment, you'll want to check this periodically, especially when you first start. Your belt adjustment is correct when this pointer is centered up with these two arrows. And if it's too loose, that it will be too far in, and too tight, it'll be too far out. You just want to make sure it's in the center. To adjust the belt tension, you'll do that with this larger bolt here, and you'll adjust it until that pointer gets in the center. To adjust the alignment of the belt, you'll have to run the belt and adjust this upper bolt, which is the smaller one, to align the belts to make sure they're running square with the head. There is an adjustment on the outside snouts on the head, on the dividers, and these are not spring-loaded like the old ones. You have to adjust these by loosening this jam nut and either tightening or loosening it to raise or lower your divider point. On the reel, there's an adjustment on each end, a black handle with a locking pin that you remove the puller locking pin out to adjust the aggressiveness of your reel fingers to keep it from wrapping. There's a couple of adjustments on the speed sensor of the reel. If you're not getting a reading inside the cab, what you'll want to do is back this nut off and adjust this to within about a 1/16 of an inch, and then retighten the jam nut until you get a reading in the cab. One of the adjustments that you want to look at on your header, if you're having a reel position readings in the cab, an issue with that is you want to make sure that this little indicator or this pin is in this groove of this black poly strip to make sure that it gets the correct reading, because it can get out of the groove and not read the reel position. One thing you'll have to change if you go from cutting wheat into cutting soybeans into the flex mode is you're going to have to unlock this header and put these locks back in storage position. These locks, if it was locked up, would be down here under this bolt. You'll have to remove them and put them in the unlocked position and position them here on this hole. And then if you have to go back to Milo, you'll have to lock it back again. On the cutter bar knife adjustment, you need to look back there and make sure that the sickle is centered inside of the guards. And if it's not, you'll take this loose and move this up or down, the knife head up or down, to adjust that. The center belt will have to be adjusted periodically, and how you will adjust that is you will adjust this bolt until the head of the bolt is flush with the metal frame of the header. If it's below the frame, it's too tight, and if it's sticking out, it needs to be adjusted. On the sickle drive, you'll want to make sure that they're in time. The way you'll do that is they meet here in the middle. You'll want to make sure that the stroke on the sickle drive is either all the way in or all the way out to time these properly. If you have any questions with your 700 flex draper head, contact your local Landmark dealer and they'll be happy to help you with any questions.